Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Runs and Acceleration with your hosts, Ruhan and Akash. We know it's been a long time, actually, since we've had our last episode. But this episode, we're going to be really focusing on Formula One. Everything has been leading up, and we're now getting into that point where nerves are twitching. I don't know who to root for or anything like that. I don't know what's gonna happen in this last race. But it's all gonna come to an end, and we might see an 8-time world champion, never been done before, or we might see Max Verstappen taking his first world championship. So Ruhan, let's get this. I don't even know where to start with this. I have absolutely no idea. So let's just start with this. What your
Let's just get into it.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, like you said, history's gonna be created either way, right?
Hmm.
First Dutch champion or an 8-time world champion, but either way, it's history in the making, and they're going level on points into the last race of the season, 369.5 to the point, which is it's just insane. What a season this has been.
Hmm.
A lot of my friends who watch F1 now are, they're asking me, is it always this close? And I'm like, this has truly not happened in a long, long
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
And I think it's really important. Yeah, recent races, obviously, like you said, we've come back after a bit of time.
Yep.
But um, to just give an update, Verstappen was leading away with it after one of the triple headers,
Yep.
and the last time they went to the US, and it seemed all was going well. Then suddenly Mercedes came up with a fire engine.
Yep.
By that, I don't mean an actual fire truck. I mean an engine with a lot of power, spitting fire.
Hmm.
And Lewis pulled off one of the best drives I've ever seen. Disqualified from qualifying after being on pole,
Yep.
gets 15 positions in 20 laps, then gets another 5 place penalty, starts 10th on Sunday, and wins pretty easily, actually, which was
Hmm.
champion drive from him in Senna's home ground, his hero's home ground. So that was great. And from there, it's not like Verstappen's not done anything good. He's still coming second.
Yeah.
But the problem is the margins are just becoming wider. And that was an interesting Grand Prix,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. I think we'll touch upon Saudi Arabia a little bit later, but I think we just have to kind of look at this from a bigger picture. I think we're seeing Mercedes absolutely have all of the momentum with them.
Right.
And this was I think a little bit of a worry for me. I think one thing is maybe they've caught Red Bull sleeping a little bit. I felt that I think they definitely feel much more of the pressure. And I think what I'm worried about, very especially for this upcoming race, is that even if Max is in the lead, I think that pressure is going to be okay. I've got to finish every single lap. I've got to push. I just got to make sure
Exactly.
that I just get to that finish line and make sure. And if I can just get to that finish line, I know like if I can just get ahead of Lewis, I know I've won this. That's his
Yeah.
only responsibility. That's his only job. Um, but I think now we'll touch upon Saudi, and that's another place I actually also kind of confused on where to start, to be honest. Um,
Yeah.
I'll give you my first initial thoughts. I thought the kind of build up to the circuit, I actually really enjoyed it. I think the circuit actually looks really nice. I did have a little bit of reservations about it, but I actually kind of liked it. I actually like the look of the circuit,
Hmm.
but everything that happened on the circuit,
It was,
I was just not a massive fan of it. Very honestly.
I agree.
Um, and I think in one of the interviews, George Russell put it the best about this. I think I was telling you about this, about how he was talking about how this was actually a really good racetrack for, like, for the future of racing, but also like driver safety needs to come into question. And we saw,
Definitely.
I think it was 5 or 6 DNFs happening in the race or something like that.
Yeah.
People getting caught out in practice, qualifying. And these are not small crashes. I know both Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher had quite terrible, had really bad crashes, and there was almost a point where I was like, okay, I just hope they were like all right, and they came out
Absolutely.
they came out all right from it, but it was like they're coming at massive, because it's it's the fastest street circuit that there is.
Yeah.
So so for you, what did you make of the Saudi circuit? Yeah.
I think it's like you said, right? It's the fastest street circuit, and I feel with street circuits, the history has been that's where the speed gets lower because tight turns. It's on a city. Whether you look at the newer tracks like Singapore, or even like the old classic one, which is Monaco, you don't expect a lot of speed. Yes, the cars are getting faster, but they're kind of like they know what the speed is, and also there's like runoffs.
Yeah.
One thing I saw in Saudi was there's literally no runoffs.
Yeah.
There were hardly any runoffs, and there's two sections. One at the start where we saw a couple of red flags.
Yeah.
Which is just so tight, especially with the modern F1 car, which is just getting bigger and bigger. I know next year's regulations reduce it slightly in size, but it's still really big and it's going to be even more heavy.
Yeah.
So these cars are not as agile as the ones that used to be. And on street circuits, that's causing a bit of a problem. For example, the first red flag, that's the problem because there's no runoff. Any car crashes, it's an automatic red flag because you need to get marshals on there. You need to get support vehicles down there.
Yep.
And you don't want a repeat of Jules Bianchi. So
Mhm.
you can't really go without a red flag. So that kind of stops it. And then you start again. It's so hectic that first corner that when we started, there was no space for cars to go.
Mhm.
And on a circuit like this, which is so narrow, if one car spins in front of you, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Even if firstly, there's no reaction time. Even if there is, there's nowhere to go, which is why Mazepin crashed. It wasn't his fault,
Mhm.
Russell. And even Perez's crash, I don't know how so many people avoided it, but it wasn't nice. And especially the design, like you said in the last sector, it's so fast and so sweeping that if even one guy is to lose his steering, which is becoming more common with the weight of these cars, right? And you can't control these cars once they go into a spin.
Mhm.
It can really risk driver safety for the car involved and also the cars coming behind because there's a lot of speed. A case in point would be obviously it was more done on purpose, but when Verstappen and Hamilton crashed, just by the way, guys, they crashed a couple of times last Sunday. No DNS, but as the commentator said, it got a bit too much from both of them.
Yep.
And the mind games are getting a bit too much. But yeah, looking at the track, right? Those kind of crashes can really affect driver safety. And I don't think the track looks great, but it still needs a little bit of, I don't know if they can redo it because I think part of it is all actually on the water almost.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to create runoffs, but the barriers are a bit too close. They can't really race.
Yeah.
So even for overtaking, it's not a great track.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. I think this is like my worry about for like what I think this has given us a good idea of maybe how F1 wants to take it into the future. I think from a marketing kind of standpoint, this is a way that they can kind of show the cities like a little bit more, like because like street circuits are a little bit more appealing to the eye, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's like you're racing right side by side to skyscrapers and everything. And we have the new tracks that are coming up in Miami and in St. Petersburg in a couple of years.
True.
And the designs, I've like there's been rumors that it's gonna be quite like city circuits again, quite quick. I would really hope that F1 can maybe reconsider, some things, especially with the design of these tracks and making sure that we can have driver safety in there. But I definitely do expect there to be a little bit of changes to the track next year for Saudi, just because I feel that a lot of drivers have already complained about this. And I feel that once you get enough consensus on something, then it has to be changed. I think we remembered in back in when they were like, I was back in about 7-8 years ago, I'd say, when they were racing in Singapore, they had that Singapore sling,
sling,
that chicane that was considered like extremely dangerous. You're coming in this like a quick speed, and you have to make really, really fast movements.
And
and
basically, for those who don't know this, for those in Singapore, a fact for you: this is where the Singapore Cricket Club is, and you turn left there, and there used to be this sling almost like a curb, and every car used to like bounce off.
Yeah.
And it was dangerous because a couple of times the car didn't just bounce off and wasn't just damage to the car and possible harm to the driver. But even the marshals, the way the cars launched off, they could almost hit the marshal post.
Yep.
So they really had to get it removed.
The cars would be in the air for like even if you were like they would still be in the air, but like sometimes just that control and coming into that and that kind of quick speed were causing a lot of accidents. And so
Yeah.
I just hope that we can see some changes. I think it's in my opinion,
I think the idea is good, right?
Yeah,
To
I
move to
think
the cities, have that as well.
exactly. I think I might have like almost like judged a little bit too quickly, but there is a lot of things I think that need improvement with it. I like the kind of idea and direction that they're taking with it, but I think the track layouts need to be thought out much better. And it's almost kind of disappointing to see that they should have really anticipated these things to happen. They can for how much technology, how much work that puts into these designing of the tracks.
Absolutely.
Kind of disappointing that we're not seeing these things really be taken into consideration and really making sure that these tracks are, number one, safe, but also going to be challenging for the drivers also. Yeah.
And I think the challenging part is good. And like you said, the plan is right. From a marketing standpoint, from a racing standpoint, fast street circuits are amazing to look at. But it's just the fact of the execution, because you want to see at the end of the day, not just speed, but great racing. Great racing can happen firstly if the drivers know it's a little bit safe for them, that a move won't cost them dearly, not just in terms of position, but their safety. And just giving them a little bit of space, like, and that's why the sling was removed, a few more runoffs so that people could go for more overtakes. So just with street circuits, you need to give that opportunity, because traditionally Monaco and, like I said, Singapore wasn't great for overtaking. They've tried to change that. Baku as well, the newest street circuits, they want to change that, because great racing comes from overtaking. So I think improvements need to be made. So that's something to take point. And now moving on to the championship.
Actually, before we move on to the championship, because I thought we're going to build up to that, but first, I actually wanted to talk about, because I feel that a lot of times we've been just seeing Hamilton, Verstappen. Everything has been. I think everything we've been seeing in the media, everything has been dominated about them. We'll get to that, of course. I mean, why we have to talk about that. But I wanted to ask you this: are we seeing some people kind of like some underdogs, some people that are not being, I think there's also a great opportunity for us to highlight on some drivers that are maybe I'm not getting that much coverage or anything like that, because they're not really in the championship battle. But are we seeing any drivers, in your opinion, or any teams that are just on the come up, or some drivers that are kind of underperforming?
I think so I think it's a tale of two cities between McLaren and Ferrari, especially. Pierre Gasly has performed beyond expectations. 100 points for that
100
team.
points. Actually, I would have never ever thought about that, honestly. For
in an alphatauri, that's amazing. So his teammate, on the other hand, bitterly disappointing season for him. Just not had a clue of what's really going on, and by now it's a bit too late, to be honest. So they had a great chance for a top 5 finish, and their team principal Frank Toss, it's his lifelong dream just to finish 5th in the championship. He's very realistic, and I thought this was really their year. But maybe next year with the regulation, and maybe Sonoda in his second year can really help Pierre Gasly. But amazing, Gasly's really made his mark in F1 for sure now. And another, I think most disappointing has been Lando. Like, he was almost 100 points after the first 6-7 races, and he was 3rd in the championship. So much talk happening, and he's really not done anything since then. On the other hand, when you look at the 2 Ferrari drivers, they always finish behind each other in every race. But the fact that Carlos Sainz has the longest point scoring streak this season, 14 races now, half of them he didn't even qualify in the top 10. But they're finding ways to build that championship gap. And it's just really heartening to see from Ferrari that, yes, they're not the Ferrari you're used to. And if you were to wake up from a coma from 2004, you would be like, what the hell is happening here? Why are people happy to see Ferrari 5th? That's as good as finishing last. But a great step forward, and a great another great news coming is that John Todd, who was he was the leader of the FIA for 12 years, served 3 terms, and before that, he was the team principal of Ferrari during Schumacher's duration.
Yep.
So he's planning on coming back as an advisor, same way Niki Lauda came to Mercedes. So I think that's great news.
Yep.
For the future of F1 and Ferrari.
Yeah, I think having these kinds of mentors and everything, I think they really, really need to be taking advantage of this. And it's something for me. I think that, you mentioned about Niki Lauda, how much of an impact he's had on this Mercedes team. Mercedes would not be the team without him. No way, absolutely no way. About from a driving standpoint, just from a team standpoint, from an organizational way, everything went through Niki. That's the thing. So that's why it was so sad to when he passed away. But for me, I think you mentioned about McLaren. I'm just massively been really impressed also with Alpine. They have been excellent. I actually think they've had a little bit of bad misfortune with the last race. Esteban Ocon defending like everything, but just unfortunately that last corner
at the line,
photo finish basically like that, lost it. Just couldn't keep up. Had to defend against a Mercedes, but I've been really, really impressed. You've had the kind of the youthfulness, the kind of that excitement from Esteban Ocon, which I think a lot of people want to see. But then you've also had I would say almost a very kind of extremely different driver in Fernando Alonso, who knows exactly what he's doing all the time, positioning his car in like the absolute prime position, making sure. I was just looking at some of his defending, and that's just giving me, the kind of his back in his Renault days, like about how brilliant his defending was. So, excellent, really, really great to see Alpine out there. But now I think we've all built it up to this. We've kind of touched upon this, but I'm just gonna straight away. Hamilton or Verstappen? Let's get it out of the way. Who are we going for?
The heart says Verstappen, but the mind says Hamilton.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
I think with Verstappen, what he's going through, no one can actually understand it better than Hamilton. Hamilton was, for anyone who's ever watched, this is a non-F1 reference, if anyone's ever watched growing up the movie Cars, Hamilton was kind of like the Lightning McQueen. He was about to become the first champion in his rookie season, first time ever. Stop laughing. You love that movie. Okay. But the fact that he almost did it as well, last 2 races, he basically had to finish, I don't know, like 5th in one race out of the 2, and he would be champion. Stop laughing.
I can't.
Stop laughing.
I can't believe you're bringing Cars reference to Formula 1.
Exactly. Hey, Hamilton voices a character.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, right? So, a very similar example that he came very close in his rookie season would have been history, but just fell short, and that was all because of his mental fatigue, I think, from competing against Alonso as a teammate in your rookie season, hard charging Ferraris. There was the Spygate incident, a lot of things, and Hamilton didn't even lose it on pace. One of the races, his gear got stuck, and before that, he was literally coming into the pit lane, and he couldn't steer properly and just went into the barrier at like 80 kilometers an hour, which was one of the worst DNFs I've ever seen. But that just shows that when it comes to closing out a championship, especially in Formula One, it can really affect you and takes a toll on you mentally. Can you really do it? And I think we've seen that from Verstappen. He had the lead. He had a sizable lead, more than a race, and it's just coming down point by point.
Yep.
And yeah, like I said, the mind says Hamilton, because Hamilton is much more mentally strong. He's been through the situation, and he's been on both ends. He's lost a championship multiple times. He's won a championship multiple times, being close. So he knows what it takes.
Yep.
And he's gonna leave it all out on track. Whereas Verstappen, I feel, is still, I don't know where his head is at. He's never, for those who don't know, he's never actually led any championship he's been a part of. He's been a prodigy, so he's had great races, and people have picked him up from there. He's never actually won any championship. So when your first championship can be a Formula One World Championship, it is massive, massive pressure.
The one thing is also like, I could not agree more with what you say. With Verstappen, I just feel that the pressure is he's been a different. I think he's been a different driver this year. He's been very, very mature, actually in some respects, but there's been a few moments where he's kind of slipped into his old ways of, that kind of aggressive driver, kind of like that, doesn't will do everything he can, and kind of ends up, it kind of ends up being in his face a little bit like that. And honestly, if I really hope this doesn't happen. It really could. Maybe in that first lap in Abu Dhabi, he might just try to go a little too hard and could just crash out, honestly. And maybe almost just be handing the win over to Hamilton. I don't want that to happen, but I could see it happening, honestly, very, very honestly. And the thing is also with this is that you're seeing, like two very, very, very different drivers, and two drivers at very different stages of their careers. And after this, this 8th championship, if Hamilton wins it, there will become a question, does he have the drive? Does he actually, because he's beaten every single record then. This was the only record that was basically eluding him. And does he have that drive left? But then for Verstappen, I could see this. I could see him being, I mean, he is the face of the next generation, of course. Him with Leclerc and Lando. But and George Russell, of course. But like, I'm personally, the only thing I'm just going to be doing on my Sunday is just my eyes just glued onto the TV. That's it. And
absolutely,
because I don't know what else. I don't know. We can do all this analysis, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's all up to whatever is just going to happen on Sunday. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to end with. What do you think? I have this feeling that we might see a close of a championship from a collision. We've seen it before. Senna versus Prost 2 years in a row, colliding into each other in the final race.
Yeah.
Schumacher had it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this weird feeling because also if both of them crash out or don't score points, Verstappen wins on count back of more wins.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is there a chance? Because I feel there is a chance,
definite.
one way or the other.
I think it's a really, really possible chance. This is every little move, every little thing matters, not just from the driver's perspective, but Red Bull and Mercedes have to be absolutely dead perfect with their strategy. Any kind of miss up, any kind of like a small little miss up with the pit stop or anything like that is what can end it. And they've and I think all the momentum right now is with Mercedes. And Red Bull are doing catch up and everything. And I think all the pressure right now is on Red Bull, in my opinion. And I think they just have. I really just don't know what's going to happen if they both crash out.
You think Red Bull? You think Red Bull are just going to say, Perez, no brakes into turn one?
Yeah. Oh my God.
18 for 44.
Yeah. Honestly, why not? Yeah. But I've said this already like so many times today. It's like I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Absolutely. And we could see both of them crashing out. We could see one of them crashing out. But really what I want to see is the driver that's gonna win it on merit. I want to see Absolutely. who's gonna outdrive the bloody hell of that car, who's gonna put everything there on the line and gonna win that race fairly, in my opinion. That's what I really want to see. So yeah.
And I think just perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
It's been one of the best seasons ever.
Yeah.
We couldn't ask for a better season to start our podcast on, honestly. And it's just been a pleasure. So for everyone who's been listening in, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to continue. And we're back now. We've had a bit of a siesta.
Yeah.
But we are back. And we're going to get more episodes done, whatever the outcome of the championship is. All of you, thank you for watching. We are all excited. Let's have a great race this Sunday.
Yep.
And fingers crossed.
All right. See you, everyone. Bye.